So for part 17, I want to give you a bit of a background as to the legacy of why I got started here on Steemit. You've probably been through some of the other episodes and we're getting kind of halfway now. You might have jumped into this before any other video and thought, well, why is Steemit for me as a YouTuber, as a content creator? Maybe you put stuff together on Vimeo as well or other places on the web, and why should I get into a social blockchain? It was quite difficult to come and blog on Steemit for one particular reason, and that was that I'd kind of written off blogging, microblogging, social media. I've been doing social stuff, sharing story, pictures, video, all the tools that we have with these mobile applications for well over a decade. It had kind of got a bit old, a bit long in the tooth, never really got the social connection that it promised us when we heard of Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. It was going to be this amazing unification of engagement between human beings. It never really reached that potential, and I still think we scratched the surface with social media. The marketers moved in, as the famous Gary Vee would say. They came in and kind of killed it like marketers do. Facebook did the same. Facebook bought Instagram. Every community that I've joined has either been acquired within 2 or 3 years and they've moved on, and mainly around money, mainly around acquisition and financial incentives of building an audience and then selling it off, making some money, spinning it, flipping it. So that is difficult for people coming into computers for the first time. Every year around December in the UK, we have 100,000 new people join the internet for the very first time. And Facebook might be the one thing that they go to first of all, because their family members, their cousins, relatives are all on there. And that becomes their world, that becomes their internet. So I've been kind of despondent to get involved with any other blogging platform until Steemit came along. And the reason for that was obviously the financial rewards, the incentives was, I'm going to spend a bit of time here, and if I make a couple of bucks on it, that's a couple of bucks more than I had on any other social platform for the last decade. It was kind of an unwritten promise about social that at some point micropayments would be in the mix. And that's what got me excited as somebody who likes to make videos, somebody who likes to make, period, like anything, audio, video, textual, interviewing. That was kind of my vibe. I've always been into making stuff, and I think a lot of us now are content creators, even if we know it or not. If you look at the way the world's going in terms of basic income and the jobs being replaced by AI, not all of them. There's going to be sections of society where there's 10 or 11 different jobs that are always going to be done by humans, but there's a lot of automation going on in the world. So what do human beings do? And I feel like Steemit, the blogging, the payments for it, the time sensitive, we turned up and we took part, the validation of, is this person a human being or not? I feel that exists already on Steemit as this decentralized way of checking out, is there a person behind the words? That's kind of what pulled me back into Steemit, into social blogging. Blogging had become a bit of a chore. WordPress is kind of 80% admin and 20% blogging, and I really wanted to change that because it felt frustrating and it was a real difficult entry point to get started blogging every day when I was challenged by update a new plugin or add this, or I've added this, a new version of the plugins come out and broke my whole site. And we don't realize the damage that does in terms of, you have an idea, you have a concept, you have something to write about, and then boom, the platform's down. And don't get me wrong, Steemit has had times recently in the last few months where it's been down from DOS attacks, but you can still write offline and upload it later on. With WordPress, it felt like I'm not productive. I wasn't productive at all. So any microblogging social platform that I use has to have an ease of use. It has to have like a way that I can use it without being frustrated. So that was a big thing for me as well, because it's a very simple editor. You can upload your pictures by dragging and dropping. For most people who've never blogged before, who want to blog for free and don't want to pay any money out for hosting, then Steemit can do that. I was invited to Steemit by a good friend of mine I've known over a decade on different platforms, from Steemit, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that was at Lloyd Davis. And if it wasn't for Lloyd, then I probably wouldn't have looked at Steemit. So it's interesting how those social connections kind of permeate and run through the different social networks when people do move on to different places. And if it wasn't for Lloyd, I probably wouldn't have looked at it in depth, because I do appreciate who Lloyd is and what he's done for various communities with his bar camps and his Tuttle Club in London. And so for me, it was a natural given to look a little bit deeper than the surface, because obviously it was something that he was passionate about and he thought was going to go somewhere. The instant mistake that I made when I first got on Steemit was to use it like every other social network that I've ever used, which was to just go, hi, I'm here, blast, blast, blast. That was a big no-no on the platform, and you got that straight away because you were getting no upvotes, no comments, no traction. It just felt very much like a Tumblr blog or any other social network when we've kind of been tuned to look for likes and upvotes. That gives us some kind of like social validation. So that was a huge thing to realize, that this was really, there was people behind the scenes, and really it was about making those social connections, like finding your niche of people that you could gel with, that you could get on with, that you had similar hobbies, and actually debate that stuff. It wasn't just like a hollow zone. And the only reason why I can reinforce that now is that I've been to one of the Steam Fests, which I wanted to go to last year, and meeting the people behind the avatars and finding that they were actually more lovely in person might have just led me, I only saw one part of their character. So that was huge, and I think I would recommend that to anybody getting into anything digital when it's, you know, decentralized especially, is that get to know the people behind the blogs. Don't just take it on face value. You know, invest the time to get to know the people behind it, because with more AI coming on board anyway, it's going to change the way we interact and communicate with each other, especially job-wise, across the world. I feel like you can do that more on Steemit than any other platform because of the decentralized nature of it, because when you submit that text to the blockchain, it's not just in one centralized place, it's on hundreds of servers around the world. So to look at this kind of in an ambient context, you know, there is a copy of what your thoughts are at some point in the world on a server somewhere. And I feel in the next 5-10 years, with AI coming on board, they're going to be tapping into blockchains to cross-reference that information to validate, were you in a certain place at a certain time? Were you in Portugal? Did you make this social connection? Did they follow you? And that will just all happen automatically, cross-reference across different blockchains. The exchange of value from one Bitcoin to you know, DTube, and it will be able to work out from that the kind of roadmap that you've taken. And I think that's the most exciting thing for me about blockchain and social blogging, is that we, not only is it an open public ledger, but we're going to be able to start to see the interconnects in between, and we won't even have to do the work for it. It will just be able to like bring all that information up. So think of it like a TV station which is following like somebody stolen a car for like half an hour, and it changed television in that it went from news or shows straight to this, like, there's a chase in progress. It was like this massive switch to this attention switch to, there's something happening right now, and you know, it's a tense situation. It has an end result. And I think we're going to start to see that a lot more as people make their own brands, their own portals, will become individual TV stations in their own right, which will then cross-reference all these different blockchains as well. So you'll be able to have real-time overlays and notifications of, you know, the person I'm talking to in an interview I've known for 2 years. He's wrote this many posts, I wrote this many posts, we communicated to each other, and all of this stuff will be AI driven overlays on screen, cross-reference. So the more that you put out there into these platforms, I believe will have more resonance on the things that you want to do on the web. So if you're a content creator, which is the whole reason why I made this course, you know, that's super valuable that people can cross-reference your legacy, where you started and when you started, rather than just jumping into the platform and just doing it for the financial rewards. That like legacy of being on for 5-10 years actually has a lot of value. That's what you're paying when you hire somebody in real life for a job, is that you're paying for their experience. You're not just paying for the job. Another thing was, you know, share what you know and share that often. Writing daily is something that I really enjoy to do. I did start off on a website called 750words.com, which was just writing stuff that never actually gets shown to anybody. It's just a way to get the gears going in your brain. And from a content creator's point of view, I know that you're probably charging batteries the night before, getting all your kit ready, checking the weather, having breakfast on the go, getting out there, getting the shot, getting home in the early afternoon or in the evening, pulling that content off your cameras or your SD cards and putting it into your editor and getting it edited, because you have a time crunch, you have a process that you need to do before that gets on YouTube, which then obviously gets the views and that makes you the AdSense. So I would say similar thing to that, but bring that over to Steemit from a blogging perspective. Tell me about the background, tell me what went wrong with the devices, why did you pick that camera manufacturer over another camera manufacturer, what problems have you had with batteries, did you find a certain brand wasn't very good? All of that stuff existing on a social blockchain means that slowly, iteratively, bit by bit, we're communicating our disdain, our problems, our issues, which hopefully gets back to the manufacturers and gets them changing the way that they make their products. You only have to look at Apple to see how they've changed their profile when it comes to greening their products over the last 20 years. Leave comments, communicate. Don't drive by YouTube embed posts. Don't just put up your YouTube post, then come over here. Don't write very much and chuck the embed up because you know you're going to get a financial reward here. That doesn't help anybody apart from you from a financial perspective, and it actually sets a precedent that you're only here on the platform to make money. And actually, I would say to you that you've got more chance over the long term as a long tail approach to make a bigger idea of content creation apart from just, oh, I'm going to put stuff on YouTube and make money. The way that you make money is going to be important in the future, and the legacy of how you made that money is equally as important. Also, finally, I want to put in here, if you have the opportunity to do so, go to a Steem Fest. There's going to be a Steem Fest version 3, Steem 3, and I'm having a guess, I'm going to put this out there now in November 2017, that it will probably be in America and maybe in Austin, Texas, where the HQ is. Hope this little episode was useful. This was kind of my legacy backstory of how I see Steemit and how you fit into it.